I'm Sheila Duffield from the IOD in Scotland. Welcome to this Young Enterprise talk. I'm going to chat for a bit about corporate governance. No, don't switch off. Please bear with me. It's not going to be as dull as it may sound. I'm going to try and make it as relevant as is possible for your projects, and I hope that it's going to be quite helpful. So bear with me. Let's get the screen sharing going so that I can ask us a question to start with. I think we should be asking, what is corporate governance? So I hope you can see my screen there and the question, what is corporate governance? So first of all, way back in 1992, a man called Sir Adrian Cadbury came up with this statement, and that was when corporate governance really started being documented in codes in the UK way back in 1992, and those were his thoughts then. More recently, we've had the Organisation of Economic Cooperation and Development, and they came up with quite a grand statement as well. They do seem like very posh words, don't they? But some of them are quite helpful. Let's look at them. We've got systems, we've got directed, objectives, monitoring performance, control. Those are all quite useful words for us to think about when we're talking about governance. But most importantly, we need to think about what is good governance for you. Governance can be different in different sizes of companies, and we want to think about it for you, particularly with your young enterprise projects. You've already got an operating framework and other information that Young Enterprise has provided you with. These are important guidelines, and you should follow those guidelines carefully to make sure that you're delivering good governance, following the guidance that you have or any regulations. That's really important for good governance. You also have your 8-step company program, and we're going to concentrate today on particularly 4 of these. The first one's creating the board. The second one is business planning, running the enterprise, and winding up. So let's see what role governance can play in each of these. First of all, when we're looking at putting our board together, putting your team together, you're going to want to make sure that it's as diverse as possible. You'll want to make it up of people with different skills, different ways of thinking, different backgrounds and experiences. And that way, when you make decisions, you're likely to have a good debate about them. You'll think about them carefully. You won't just listen to one person with a good idea and say, oh yes, we all agree with that. That's great. You'll think about it from different perspectives because of your different skills and your different experiences. And that's good. We call it avoiding groupthink, where everyone just follows the first person's idea. Test these ideas, make sure that they really are as good as you originally think they are. So a good diverse board is going to help there. Then remember that when you put your team together, you have what we call collective responsibility. And that means that all of you on the board are responsible for the decisions that you make together. It's not just down to one person. It's not just down to the person that you might call chair or the person that's the CEO. It's all of you together. And so you have to come together to make those decisions. Clarity in your roles, clarity of your role is also very important, because in good governance, what we want is people to have the space to do the work they've got to do and not start straying into the territory of others. So if you've got a chair with responsibilities, you want them to deliver those responsibilities and not start dabbling in what the CEO is doing, or vice versa. So be clear about your roles and help each other to stick to your roles so that you're all playing the part that you had planned. And then finally here, we've got purpose. Now, purpose, I think, is important in two respects here, because you're going to want to be clear about what the purpose of your board is. What is it that the board is going to decide? What are the important things that need to be decided by you as a group? And if you're going to be happy for someone to make a decision on their own, be very clear about that so that they're acting properly and they're not acting outside the board, because that's an important director duty as well. So that's the purpose of the board. Be clear about that. And then as a board, you have to come together to think about the purpose of your enterprise or your company. Think about what your enterprise is going to be all about and what its purpose in the business community is going to be. And more widely as well, what is the purpose of your organization? That's an important thing for a board to discuss. Moving on, you've created your board and you're now going to think about your business planning. And the board is going to want to approve any business plan that you put together. And once again, we see this word purpose. That's, you're going to set out a plan of how to deliver your company purpose. You're going to have a strategy for that, or steps to deliver your strategy and your overall purpose. You've had your idea, you've got your great idea and you want to get up and running, but really important that you do your research. Now, research is important for a governance reason, because it shows that you've thought about your idea and that you've got some evidence to support it. So having some thinking and some material that you can look at to prove that your idea is going to work is really part of good governance. So research is very important to support your ideas. Clarity of your plan is also important. It may seem really obvious to say that make sure your plan is clear, but it needs to be clear for your team internally. All of you need to understand what the plan is all about. But it's also important so that it's clear for anyone you're dealing with externally. If you're going to be asking people to support your enterprise, if you're going to be asking people to provide materials for you to make something in the enterprise, then being able to clearly explain what your plan is going to be really helpful. Also think about risks. Now, risks are uncertainties. You can't control everything in your plan. There are going to be things that you can't control and are uncertain as you move forward. Try and think about these in advance, because they might threaten the direction that you're trying to take, but they might also present opportunities. Something might crop up that you haven't thought of or that is uncertain, and it might be an opportunity. So think about risks and think about what might go wrong and also what might come out of an uncertain situation that might be positive. Really important in governance terms is to monitor your plan. Once you've set your plan out, make sure that you're monitoring it to see, are you delivering things the way you thought you were going to be delivering them? Are you on time with things? And if you're not, it's for the board to talk about how can we all fix that? Some part of the plan is a bit behind. How do we make it work so that everything is running well? So check in and monitor your plan, all part of good governance. So we've got our business plan and now we're up and running. So we're operational, you're making your product perhaps, or you're delivering your service, whatever it is that you decide you're going to do in your enterprise. You're up and running. And what we have here on this slide is really one of the key director duties. And this is actually written down in a very important Companies Act 2006, and it's a full section, this one. It's one of the director's duties. And these are the things that directors have to think about when they're making decisions. So when you're making your decisions in your team, on your board, you need to think about all of these things. And you need to think about the success of the company for the benefit of all of your shareholders. Thinking about that, not just for this week, but right through to the end of your project. Are you making decisions that are going to see you through? Are you just making decisions that are going to see you through for the next week? Think about it in a longer term perspective. Think about your team, your full team. Think about all of your interests, how you're working together, how you're looking out for each other, your well-being through the project. All of that is important for directors to think about for their companies and their enterprises. The next one about suppliers, customers, and others. We lump this together and we talk about this as stakeholders. So think about how you can develop relationships with your stakeholders. How are you going to bring them on your journey with you? Get them excited about what you're doing. Make them part of it. Get them to buy into your project. And of course, always important, what's your place in the community and what part are you playing in the environment? Are you thinking about all these good things when you're making decisions? Are you thinking about the reputation of the company, maintaining high standards of conduct and behavior in all that you do, treating people well, treating your suppliers and your customers well, building these good relationships on open and honest behavior. And the last one, acting fairly between all shareholders, is an important one that underpins everything, but will be particularly important when we come to the last milestone for you, which is winding up. You've run your project, you've been successful, you've been profitable, and now you've got to distribute your profits. Important here for good governance to make sure that you follow the rules and that you act fairly between all your shareholders, that you think about all of them when you're distributing your profits and holding your meetings and your AGMs to make sure that you're doing that in an open and transparent way so that people understand what it is that they're receiving from your company and how that has been divided up. So those are the milestones that you'll be working to. I hope that that has helped in some way towards your projects, and good luck with your good governance. And from everyone at IOD Scotland, we wish you all the best with your projects.